What's going on? So in this video, I'm going to walk you through how to actually build an in-house agency for your business, right? How to build the content agency side so that you don't have to go hire an expensive agency. A little background on me, if you don't know me, my name is Zach Bordeaux. I owned and operated a video marketing agency for about 4 years and then transitioned it into a growth partner business where I work with very high-level influencers to help them basically scale their business. So I've been in the content game for a long time. I know all the ins and outs of the agency game, and I grew my agency up to $12K a month at 16 years old. So I know a thing or two about this. Basically, this is my systems right here. I'm not going to give you this for free. You can get it in my course if you want. I'm not going to sell it to you either. But what I am going to do is I'm going to walk you through a few different systems here that are really important to scale a video marketing agency or any sort of really freelance agency, any sort of agency like that where you're hiring out freelancers. There's really 4 things that are super important, right? The first thing is your offer. The second thing is your acquisition processes and your acquisition systems. The third thing is your sales systems. And then the fourth thing is your delivery, right? So the first thing that I want to start by talking about actually before we get into any of that is your mindset, right? If you don't already, know about your mindset, you need to really dial in on mindset. You need to get your health right. I could never do this without self-developing as a person. So that's the first step. Just being completely honest with you, a lot of people like to avoid that step, and it comes back to bite them in the ass in the future. So don't avoid that step. Just go in and do the work on the self-development side. Now, next up is the offer development, right? A lot of people have really, really shitty offers because they are super, super easy to fulfill on. They're really easy to fulfill on, and so they're very systemized. They are very easy to fulfill on. So the sale is easier, but the delivery is kind of shit. Like, you don't retain people for very long if they're easy to fulfill on. So the harder you can make things to fulfill, the easier it's going to be to sell things, right? And so the big thing on offer is just making sure that you are, building an offer that people are actually interested in, right? If your offer is the exact same as everybody else's, no one's going to buy it, I promise. If you're just doing video editing, everybody does video editing. There's always someone that'll do it better. There's always someone that'll do it cheaper. And so if you're in that scenario where you're just video editing, you're doing that stuff that everyone else is doing a commoditized service, you're not going to be able to make any money off of this, right? You're not going to be able to price it high enough. You're not going to be able to actually make a solid income off of doing stuff that other people do. And so that's kind of my entire framework, is just do what other people aren't willing to do and get the result that other people won't get, right? So that's kind of a mindset piece. But making sure that your offer is good is probably the most important thing that you can do, because you're not going to be able to sell things. You're not going to be able to acquire new people if you aren't able to actually get your offer right. And so the first thing that you need to do is figure out the positioning of your offer, right? So that's, who are your people? What do they need? Who are you? What do you deliver? And why are you special, different to the one? And that last question is the one that most people can't answer. Most people don't know why they're special, because they're not, right? They're just another old video editor that doesn't have anything special about them. And so if you can't answer that question, you're never going to be able to make any money with video editing. And so you need to really, really think about answering that question and figure out how you're going to answer that. Then the next step is the actual offer itself, or the acquisition itself, right? So there's 4 types of ways that you can acquire customers. I'm going to give you my exact funnel. Actually, I wasn't planning on doing this, but let me see if I can get over to my actual funnel real quick. Let's hope it's this second one. Yep, here's basically my funnel. This is my high ticket funnel. I believe in the value ladder, meaning that you should have low ticket opportunities, you should have mid ticket opportunities, and high ticket opportunities. This is my high ticket done for you. If you are starting out a video editing or service based business, you need to start with high ticket. High ticket is definitely the move. High ticket is anywhere from $1,000 plus. Can be upwards of, we sell stuff that's $10,000, $100,000. All that kind of good stuff. So you want to make sure that you are selling high ticket, especially if it's service, because people value it more. But here's the basics of the funnel, right? So we start out, let me see if I can get a pen from Loom real quick. There we go. So we start out here with our basically content, right? This is going to be our lead magnets, all of our warm stuff. So there are basically 4 components here that I use. Free content, so that's videos like this, videos on my Instagram, photos on my Instagram, free content. That's the first thing that we use. The next thing that we use is paid ads. I believe that paid ads work very well if you have a service that is, can be duplicated across many different people and has a wide niche. What we do right now, it's a lot harder for us to get people with paid ads just because we're targeting high scale influencers. You don't have to target influencers. I think it works very well, but it's also extremely hard to get them as clients unless you have experience. But paid ads do work well. So if you're like a video editor or paid ads person, paid ads are going to work for you. And again, anything can work on the acquisition side if you make it work. It just doesn't work for us because we're not willing to make it work right now, right? Like anything can work. If we wanted to figure out how to make ads work, we could definitely do it. Just wouldn't be worth it for us right now. Next up, we got warm outbound. So that's retargeting the people who are already in your audience, right? So you should be hitting up all the people who are already following your stuff, right? So if they are following you, if they're engaging with you, you should be targeting them. Whenever someone follows me, I shoot them a DM. I'm like, yo, great to connect with you. Was there anything in particular that you needed? What inspired the ad? Those kind of questions. That's going to be your warm outbound. And then also sending DMs to people who have sent you DMs in the past. This is typically the biggest lever to pull. You can also do cold outbound. I don't think cold outbound works nearly as well anymore just because people don't really like to be sold. So it's very hard to get people through cold outbound. You definitely can do it. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but warm outbound, definitely hit that first. Anybody that engages with you, because this is going to be your first audience, and then word of mouth will spread. In a game like what we play where we're working with high scale influencers, our warm outbound, our form of warm outbound is referrals, right? So that's kind of our main source is referrals. And then also the other way to acquire customers is a low ticket community. If you've heard of growth operating, I did a video on it a few days ago called The Dark Secrets of Growth Operating. I don't think it's the best business model because you can't really make any money with it. But what you can do is funnel people into your high ticket programs through growth operating, right? So if you hire a growth operator to come build you a community, the goal, if a growth operator says that they're going to make you a ton of money, they're not, right? Your goal with as a growth operator should be to make people money on high ticket, right? So if you're making people money just on low ticket, you're not ever going to be able to make enough to actually sustain. And I say that as a person who has a client making $130K a month off a low ticket. It is extremely hard. It is extremely saturated. And unless you are a huge influencer, a low ticket community doesn't matter, right? Again, my client is making $130,000 a month off of his low ticket every single month, and I don't recommend low ticket. And then all of these different things here, everything here is going to funnel into a DM conversation. So this means that we should be conversating with people over the DMs. We should be hitting them up. We should be talking to them. We should be connecting with them. DM conversations is the next thing. Then they're either going to be qualified or disqualified through the DMs. There's a few things that I would ask in the DMs. I'd typically like to ask them how much money they have, not like directly. That's not the exact thing. If you want my full scripts, I lay them out completely in my community. So you can hit me up for that. If not, that's okay too. But yeah, DM conversations, you got qualified people, you got disqualified people. There's plenty of videos on YouTube on basically how you do that. But pretty simple. DM conversations, qualify, disqualify. If they disqualify, we're going to put them back into the free content. So we're going to send them, hey, your pain point is, let's say, making more money, but you don't have any, you don't have any money to spend on me, right? That's when we're going to funnel them back into the free content because you never know when this person's going to get more money in the future. Then they're going to be nurtured by your free content, and then they're going to go into another DM conversation where they will be qualified, right? So if they are qualified, we're going to book them on a call. We're going to send them a free resource in between the calls. So this is, again, going to be another free YouTube video where they'll get more information to be nurtured. Then we're going to push them to a sales call. So this sales call at this point, this free resource, let me see if I can zoom in here. I don't know why it won't let me zoom. There we go. So the free resource should include these 6 things. It should handle all of your objections. So any sort of objection you get on the call, need to think about it, need the money, whatever those things are, handle all those objections in this video. We're also going to justify all their past failures. We want to throw rocks at their enemies. I've spelled that wrong. We want to ally their fears. We want to confirm their suspicions. We want to encourage their dreams. So this is one sentence persuasion. If you don't know about it, Google it. But essentially, you should be using one sentence persuasion for your free resources, right? You should have all those different things and handle all the objections. Next thing that's up is the sales call itself. So again, in the sales call, we're going to have a qualifying stage where we're going to either disqualify people, we're going to send them back to our free content, or we're going to qualify them and make some money off of them, right? If they're qualified, we should be closing them. That's basically what qualified means, is that they should be able to pay, willing to pay, and ready to pay and have paid. once you make money, we're going to funnel this money back into paid ads, right? We're not going to keep it. I'm not going to say you shouldn't keep any profit off of it, but if you're just starting, right, you should be putting back in my opinion, at least 50% back into the business if you're just starting, right? I think that if you make, $5,000 off of a program, you should be putting $2,500 back into ads, back into your content, back into all of these systems, right? This doesn't just have to be ads. This can be any of these systems. So that's basically our acquisition funnel, how we're going to get people in. Now let's talk sales for a second. So sales is something that a lot of people mess up really bad. It's not really that hard of a thing to do. Sales is not really that hard, like I said. The goal with sales is just to understand what you're doing, right? So you want to do research. I did a full video on my full sales process that broke out every single piece of my sales process. The big thing, know your audience better than they know themselves, care about them more than they care about themselves, and basically dominate the conversation, right? You want to be the type of person that actually gets through the conversation, and you want to know what objections are going to be thrown your way beforehand, right? If you don't know the objections that are going to be thrown your way beforehand, you're never going to make anything. So you want to make sure that you know your objections beforehand. So next up, I'm going to show you my delivery process. Again, go watch that video. It's called the full sales process. I used to close 12K deals, something like that. But let me go to the delivery cube real quick. Also, just for reference, I'm working on building out this sales framework. This is about the first 3 minutes of my call. So if you want this, I'll give it to you after I finish it. All right, so here's our content workflow diagram. This is basically the delivery process for videos. It's going to be very, very similar if you're doing like graphic design or something like that, but I'm just going to basically walk through it for videos right now. This is exactly the workflow of my agency. So when I had my 12K a month agency, this was the exact thing that we did. This is the biggest process that we had. It's a fairly simple process. The more you can systemize it, the better. It's not always like that for content, but in this case it is. So the client is used in 4 parts here. So the black is the client. As you can see, they're used for a round of revisions over here. And then over here, they're going to record the video and they're going to upload it, and that's going to be it, right? They might be back here in the planning stage as well. You can add in more spots back here behind this to go for planning. I usually did the planning or some of the planning, and then the client would do some of the planning as well. We'd hop on a call, discuss. It's a very, very simple process, right? Client's going to record the videos. The videos are going to be uploaded. We use Google Drive. It's the best one because it's cloud-based. Dropbox is all right too, but Google Drive just makes things way easier. Then from Google Drive, we're going to send a notification to Slack. So that's where our team communicates. That's where everybody is at inside of Slack. Obviously, everybody is there, so the editor will see it from here. Also, I'll see that they uploaded the video, and I'll know that I can get to work to it as well. Here, I would add the videos to a Notion database, or my creative director would. So at this time, I had a creative director when I had this. So all the orange is the creative director. I was basically all out of this process when I actually did this. So they would basically add the videos to our Notion database, which is just a massive database of everything that we did. They would fill out the tags in the Notion database. They'd change the status to editing, and they'd add the publish date and titles in there. So basically, they would update everything in the Notion database as soon as this got put in here. This video would get pushed from here to Notion, and we figured this out a little bit later, but we could push this to Notion. We couldn't necessarily push the date very easily. It was easier just to have the creative director add it in there, but we did push the video title itself in here. So that is one kind of difference. Then we would also have our thumbnail designer would be told to or alerted to go ahead and start. So they would design the thumbnails. Again, simple process. It's either approved and then it gets added to the Notion database. So it gets put back here or it gets put over here for a round of revisions and the designer does another until it gets approved and gets pushed back into the Notion database. And then the editor will basically edit the video and upload it to Frame.io. Frame.io is basically software that we use. Very, very simple. We can add comments directly on the timeline. Makes it very, very simple. Then from there, Frame would basically send us a notification into Slack. It would get approved, or if it got revised, it would go back. If it got approved, it would go into the client's email. So the client would get to review it here. So then it would get sent for revisions. Again, once this gets uploaded after another round of revisions, it will get sent to Slack. If it gets approved, this is basically our approval process. It gets uploaded to our backups in Google Drive. So we back up every single YouTube video. Let me show you what that looks like real quick. All right, so here is what a sample client database would look like. This is basically mine. This is what my content library looks like. So as you can see in here, we have our B-roll, compound assets, graphics. This is my old podcast. I don't do this anymore, so this is just kind of an archive. All my headshots, so professional headshots in here. I have an automatic backup of everything from my Instagram. I have lifestyle photos. So lifestyle photos is basically just B-roll that we can use. It's not a good folder necessarily, but as you can see in here, there's just hella B-roll that we can use. Videos of me at the gym, videos of me doing whatever on our lifestyle photos. We have our outreach scripts and everything like that in here. Our podcast videos back from when I did the podcast, short form. And then the big two here are Raw and YouTube. I also have a thumbnail archive for any sort of extra thumbnail photos. This is just like tons of photos. But yeah, here we have a YouTube archive. So this is every YouTube video I've ever put out. Yes, I used to have a mullet. So this is literally every video I've ever put out up until this point. The raw, so I have backups of all the raws. If there's multiple clips, I'll throw them into a folder. If not, they get basically just put in here and titled correctly. And then all of this is in a Notion database as well. So this is kind of how this works. And also I have every short that I've ever produced in here as well. So that's basically how the Google Drive looks. All right, so here is basically the last two parts. We're going to upload it to YouTube, and then we're going to update the status from basically it was in editing. Now it's going to be in published over here. So yeah, that's kind of what we're going to do on the content workflow side. But yeah, this is the basics of how you deliver a service. Like this is how you deliver video editing, how you deliver video marketing, any sort of content services. This is exactly how you do it. Now, the big thing is you can't just deliver content, right? You can't just deliver the same thing everyone else does. If you're a video editor and you just deliver the exact same thing everyone else does, you're not going to make any money, right? You have to make sure that you are making the people their money back. If they're putting in money, they better be seeing a direct monetary result. If not, they're not going to continue to pay you for long, right? So that's where that positioning really comes in. Like, why are you special? What makes you different? Why are you the one for them? And if you can't answer that question, that's okay. I couldn't answer that question originally either. I was just paying, short form editors. I was a very early on short form agency. I was in the game before most people were for shorts. And so I realized that hey, I need to get in the shorts game, right? And I got in it. I was in the long form game before I was in the shorts game. I got in the shorts game, had the Alex Hormozi style, realized that didn't work, and that I could just pay an editor $5 a video. And that, why wouldn't a client do the exact same thing? And so clients are getting smarter. You can't sell a service like that anymore. You got to decommoditize yourself. And that means adding in as much as possible into your offering, right? So you need to add in more things than just hey, I'm going to edit your videos, right? It has to be this full process of publishing, scripting, planning. It has to be everything. It has to be SEO. You have to add in more than just editing, because you're never going to be able to make any money if it's just editing nowadays. So I realized this early. Again, I build monetization systems. I handle everything in that systems chart. Everything on page 1 of here that we were looking at before. Literally all of it is basically what I do. So every system is basically what we build out in the client's business. So we work with high-level influencers. We build that stuff out. We also do mentorships. I don't know if you're interested, but if you are interested in mentorship, go drop me a comment or drop me a DM on Instagram. I'd be happy to assist you in that. You can also book a call at the link below. If not, completely fine. Go binge some of my other YouTube videos. It helps me grow. And if you found any value, go comment and tell me so. And yeah, I appreciate it, and have a wonderful day. Peace.